Hi guys, today I want to show you a timeline for the 2025 game Dispatch. Please note that this video will contain spoilers for the game and the comics. This video contains all 8 episodes of the game and the 6 comics that were released along with it. Also, the game has some inconsistencies with some dates, so some of them will be ignored because they make no sense with some major hints when each entry takes place. We will start with the comic Dispatch number 3 Get Up. In this comic we got one of the few occasions where they show a proper year placement. The mentioned year is 1999, but the comic will jump in the future on the last page, so this placement is only for the pages 1 to 11. Next on the list is Dispatch number 4 The Death of Mecha Man. This takes place in the late 2000s because it is mentioned in episode 1 that Robert's dad died 15 years ago. The reason why I can't place it on a specific year will be discussed later in the video. Following up to this will be Dispatch number 2 Pas de Deux. This comic doesn't give much hints when it takes place, but Coop is in this comic still an assassin and pretty experienced too, so I would guess this would take place in the late 2010s. Next up will be Dispatch number 1A, The Last Bender, which takes place shortly before the foundation of the Phoenix program. Because the members of said program mentioned they had a few dispatchers up to the point where Robert joined, this comic probably takes place a few months or up to a year before episode 1 of the game. Which takes us to Dispatch episode 1, Pivot. So there's a few hints in which year Dispatch takes place. Chase or Trackstar is 20 in 2003, which he mentions in the flashback in episode 7, and he mentions he is 39 in episode 1, which means episode 1 can take place in 2021, 2022 or 2023. The most likely is 2023 because the criminal records of Coop and Sona have a report date of 2023 written on it. But because some of the written dates on similar files are false, this is just a guess. So I will simply put The Last Bender and episode 1 in an early 2020s timeframe. Also, this episode contains a time jump of 4 months after his fight with Shroud, but we are still in the same year in whatever year it really takes place. Every next entry will also take place in the same year as episode 1, so they will also get the same time frame. Also during episode 1 and after the loss against Shroud, page 12 of Dispatch number 3 Get Up takes place. There are some differences in the crash shown here, but because the damages of the Mecha Man suit are so similar, I would guess this depicts the same crash he had in episode 1. Next in line is Dispatch number 1 Splash, which takes place shortly before Dispatch episode 2 Onboard. Leading into the last comic on the list, Dispatch number 2A Shell Shock. These 3 entries are taking place seamless right after each other. The last entries on this list are not too interesting in their placement, because they take place only in a few days after each other. But to complete the timeline, the following up entries are Dispatch episode 3 Turnover, Dispatch episode 4 Restructure, Dispatch episode 5 Team Building, Dispatch episode 6 Moving Parts, Dispatch episode 7 Retrospective, and Dispatch episode 8 Synergy. As already mentioned, everything after episode 1 takes place in the same year as episode 1. Only thing worth mentioning here is the flashback in episode 7, which takes place in 2003. So, this was my timeline for Dispatch. Hope you enjoyed it and maybe use it in the future for a chronological playthrough and read-through. I will post this timeline on Reddit. A link will be put in the description. To not miss more timeline videos like this, subscribe and click the bell. And also please consider liking this video, it would help me a lot. Thanks and see you in the next one.